Hey everybody, happy Saturday. Hope you guys had a great week as always, and diving right in this week. So this week is going to be maybe a little bit more direct than normal. I don't know. I don't think I'm that direct in these. Maybe you disagree. But just want to kind of maybe give a heads up because I want to be really cut through the BS, so to speak, on this subject. And so for those of you, if you're feeling maybe a little bit more sensitive today, maybe just skip. Just do that. Just do that for yourself and listen to it a little bit differently. I don't think it's that intense, but of course, you never know. I don't want to trigger anybody. So what we're going to be talking about today, and it's similar to what we've talked about with emotional boundaries, but I'm diving into a very specific topic. And this is really about controlling other people, thinking you know best, and really just expecting that you are their number one and that you should basically be one of their top priorities, and the impact that that really has. Because here's the truth, guys. We all have a limited amount of emotional capacity. And although I don't think a lot of us are trained on this, it's really important that we become aware of how we are going to invest that emotional capacity, because it really will impact your relationships. Now, where this is coming from is in my readings, it's not uncommon where somebody is concerned about somebody that they love and they will ask for information on that person. Now, and I know this is common with people in my practice, and, ethically, it's a fine line. And I think the intention of that question and where it's coming from is also can be, even though it might sound very similar, it comes from two very different places. So I have some clients who, their children or their loved ones in general are going through something tough, and they're asking questions in order to be able to help them. So the question is, they're going through a tough time. I'm trying to understand it. How can I help them through this? Okay. That is a loving, healthy relationship. Okay. That is very normal. But what's not appropriate is when I get people who are like, no, like, give me a reading and tell me exactly what's going on with this person. I want to understand everything that's going on, and, basically do a reading for them, but then I'll give it to them, and it's not appropriate, because when it comes to people's inner worlds and what's actually like going on inside and their really intimate details of their life, quite frankly, it's none of your business. Okay. And this is really important. It's none of your business. And as a medium, it is very hard. I find sometimes people feel uncomfortable around me because they think I'm going to dive in and know too much of their secrets. And even myself, when I'm around people who I know are very spiritual and can like pick up on anything about me, I'm like, oh, what are they seeing? But like, I don't do readings for my husband. He doesn't want it. It crosses boundaries, and I respect that. I don't sit and do a reading for him without his permission, because it's none of my business to know those things that go in and on in his brain. And so, I want to talk about this, and I see it a lot with parents. I'm not a parent, especially of an adult child, but I see this a lot with clients who are parents of older adult children, right? Because the relationship changes. All of a sudden, I have empathy and, for that experience, and I imagine it's really hard. But if you are a parent and you have an adult child and you are not giving them the emotional space to move on in their life, then you need to back off, okay? Because it's harming your child, and it is creating unhealthy energy boundaries, and it will impact all of their relationships, and if you are a spouse who needs to know every single thing of your inner world of your spouse, that is a trust issue, okay? And it's controlling. And how I see this playing out often is it's like the people who want to know the inner workings and the intention, like everything that's going on with that person, it's because, and people don't really want to accept this, but it's because they want to control what that person's doing. There's this idea that somehow they know best, and they need to direct that person. And I don't think a lot of people realize they're doing that. I think often it's masked in this idea of you feel like you are trying to be helpful. You are just trying to help things become more efficient. You're trying to help guide somebody. And I mean, we all do this, okay? I do this too sometimes. I am very strong-headed. I do think I know what's best. And so, of course, it does play out in relationships, but you have to check yourself all the time if this is something that you're doing. And I find often when I have certain clients who aren't moving forward, or their kids let me rephrase this. The relationship that's happening between them and their children is really becoming strained, and adult children specifically. It's because they won't give their children space. But coming back to this emotional capacity, if you are basically you want them to be your absolute best friends, your confidant, you guys have this relationship where you're opening up about everything. Well, now they don't have emotional capacity for other people, right? And what often this translates to is less about you being their support system and them becoming your support system. Okay? And I want to repeat this because this is the truth bomb that I think is going to hurt some people's feelings. If you are an adult parent who isn't giving your child space, often it's because you need them to support you emotionally. That is not a proper dynamic with your child. You should be getting support systems from other adults. You should be getting support system from friends or professional support. Because what happens when you make it your child's responsibility for your emotional happiness, it's really hard for the child. It really prevents them because it's draining, okay? It's exhausting. And they then don't have emotional capacity for other people in their lives, especially if they're trying to have a healthy relationship, okay? If they're trying to create healthy romantic relationships, especially if they're married, their partner, their marriage partner, needs to be their primary concern. So if you're, really, somebody who, if your child doesn't behave in a certain way that you want, check yourself. Is that because you're genuinely concerned about them? Or is it because you need them to fulfill this piece within you? Okay. And it's a very hard line for me as a medium when I go through this. And I know it's maybe not talking about spirit within this, but I'm talking from somebody who does have clients come to me with this issue where they are concerned about their kids. And it's very hard to basically be like, well, it's you, right? Now, obviously I don't say that. It's got to be more helpful. But I just want to put this out there for people to just really think about it. And of course, I'm being a little bit more direct with parents because I think that's where I see it the most extremely direct play out. But this can happen with spouses. This can happen with friends. I know I watch some friends who are a little bit more creative. Maybe they're not people who, quote unquote, have their lives 100% in line, which whatever, I'm just saying this as a generalization. And then of course they have these friends who have their lives quote unquote more in line, and they're like directing. It's like those people can't exist. They can't go out and make the mistakes. They have to have their like big sister friend or big brother friend, like, basically parenting them and watching everything they do and making sure that person doesn't misstep. And they're like, and it's actually control, guys. Okay. And I see this. I have, quite a few, it's clients, and I know with myself, with personal relationships, where it's just like, you need to allow people to go out and make their mistakes. If they have not asked you to speak into their life, then don't. It's permission-based leadership, okay? And it plays out in all friendships. And of course, it's not like if you see somebody like in a really terrible relationship, yeah, there's times to sit them down, but it's also understanding that just because you don't like somebody's partner doesn't mean that it's a bad fit, right? And they need to be able to make the mistake with that partner. And so for you, if you see things that you're like, oh, this could really detrimentally harm this person who's an adult, yeah, step in. But it's also the appropriateness of how you do it. Are they open to it? Do they want to have that conversation? And sit down with them and ask them to be able to speak into that, okay? And ask them if they're open to it, and then move from there. But if you're somebody who's just like all the time, making somebody, let's say, like you're making somebody fall in line because their behavior, isn't aligned with what you think they should be doing, unless it's really impacting you guys, unless it's really going to cause them harm, back off. Seriously, back off. And so yeah, I just think this is really important because when you do this, it also helps you maintain your energy levels, because it's actually really exhausting to like think how hard it is just to like maintain yourself and control your own habits and your own, behaviors, let alone all of a sudden trying to micromanage somebody else's. I mean, that's like the saying of it's trying to herd cats kind of thing. And so if you can really start focusing on just controlling yourself, how you react to things, and controlling your behaviors, and simply asking, providing guidance, like I said, if there's a real like serious issue that you see, or if it's they ask you for that, but always permission based, okay? And taking the time to build that trust. And what's going to happen is you're going to have more energy, they're going to have more energy, and yeah, they're going to make mistakes, but they're going to have more capacity to deal with those mistakes, just as you will be able to deal with your own more. So with that, guys, I know I said that was pretty direct, but yeah, I think it's just, I see it all the time, and I really would love to send love to these people, because it's just really negative relationships, and it just perpetuates unhappiness, really, and conflict. So yeah, with that, love you guys, and until next week.